The sky above Earth was quiet. Too quiet. Cities thrummed with their usual activity. Cars honking, planes crossing the horizon, people rushing to work. But an unusual tension had settled over the planet. Reports had begun hours earlier. Strange objects appearing near the outer edge of the solar system. First it was just a blip on telescopes, barely noticeable. Then more ships appeared, moving silently, as if they were sliding through space without sound. In the control room of the International Space Command, alarms were quiet, but insistent. Scientists and military officers gathered around glowing screens, their faces pale in the dim light. "We've never seen anything like this," said Dr. Lena Ortiz, a senior astrophysicist. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying both fear and excitement. The objects were massive, sleek, metallic, and dark as midnight. They moved with perfect coordination. No trails, no signs of engines or propulsion. "They're too organized to be natural," said General Harper, his arms crossed. His jaw was tight. "And they're coming closer." The world's leaders were already in emergency meetings. Television broadcasts showed faces of presidents and prime ministers, all speaking in urgent tones. "Do not panic," they said, but panic had already begun. Rumors spread through social media and city streets. Some people claimed it was a warning. Others whispered about invasion. High above the Atlantic in the sleek spacecraft Aegis 1, Lieutenant Mara Quinn adjusted her uniform and checked her instruments. She had been chosen for first contact, not just because of her piloting skills, but because she had a way of staying calm when the impossible happened. The universe had a way of testing her patience, and she had learned to meet it with resolve. The ship's radar suddenly pulsed. "Multiple vessels entering low orbit," said Commander Yates from the co-pilot seat. His voice was steady, but his knuckles were white on the controls. "They're not moving randomly, they're circling us." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Prepare for visual contact," she said. Her voice was calm, though her heart thumped in her chest. She had faced dangerous missions before, but nothing like this. This was the unknown itself, staring back at humanity. When the first alien ship appeared in the sky above New York, people stopped in the streets. The massive craft hovered silently over the city, reflecting sunlight like a mirror. It was shaped like a crescent moon, but smoother, sharper, as if designed to move through air or space with perfect ease. There were no markings, no signs of engines, no weapons visible, just a presence that radiated quiet authority. Mara's team descended toward the ship in smaller vehicles, each one shaking slightly with anticipation. Civilians watched from below, holding their phones, recording, whispering, and praying. Helicopters circled above, their cameras capturing every moment. Inside the craft, Mara's eyes scanned for anything recognizable. Doors, windows, panels. But there was nothing familiar. It seemed to be alive in some strange way, moving with intention rather than mechanical force. She could feel it watching them, though she knew it was impossible. A voice crackled over the comms. "Lieutenant Quinn, this is Earth Command. Remember, do not fire. Do not provoke. Try to establish contact. Repeat, do not provoke." Mara nodded. "Understood. We're approaching now." The closer they got, the more Mara noticed something unusual. The ship's surface shimmered, not like metal, but almost like liquid, reflecting the world around it in strange, moving patterns. And then she saw it. Subtle, almost imperceptible movements, like the ship itself was shifting to observe them. It was as if it had awareness. Suddenly, a smaller craft detached from the main ship. It glided down slowly, heading straight for Mara and her team. Her hands gripped the controls. "Visual identification." "Stand by," she said. The craft was humanoid in shape, but taller than any human, with limbs that seemed flexible and precise. Its body gleamed dark silver, and there were no visible facial features. Yet Mara felt an undeniable intelligence in its stance. The alien did not speak. It did not signal. It simply stood, its head, or what seemed to be a head, tilted slightly, observing Mara and her team. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The humans felt small, fragile, and yet somehow aware that this moment was pivotal. Dr. Ortiz, observing from Earth, whispered, "It's looking at them. It's trying to understand." Mara's team froze, unsure of what to do. Orders from above were irrelevant now. Words had no power here. Communication through normal means seemed pointless. And yet she realized they could not retreat, not now. The alien's presence demanded acknowledgement. Mara took a slow breath and stared back. She felt a strange clarity. This wasn't a challenge to weapons or firepower. It was a challenge of spirit. To understand, they needed more than words. They needed presence, courage, and patience. The alien shifted slightly, tilting its head in what seemed almost like curiosity. Mara held her gaze, letting the silence stretch. Around her, the city below seemed frozen, the air heavy with anticipation. Even the wind seemed to stop. For hours or maybe minutes, time felt strange. The two sides regarded each other. Neither moved aggressively. Neither retreated. The human side began to understand that words might never work. The alien side was not cruel. It was studying, assessing, and waiting. Finally, Mara spoke softly, not to the alien, but to her team. Remember this. What they see is more than our words. It's our resolve, our calm, our courage. That's what they will remember. A sudden pulse ran through the alien craft, subtle but noticeable. Lights shimmered across its surface, faint colors shifting like a ripple across water. Mara felt a strange warmth of recognition. Perhaps the alien had understood something, not in language but in presence. Below, the city remained still, unaware that humanity's first contact had already begun. Not with guns, not with diplomacy, but with eyes that met eyes. Mara's gaze held not fear but determination. And in that determination, she saw the first spark of understanding between two species. Then, without warning, the alien craft slowly rose back toward the mothership. It left a trail of shimmering light as if painting the air with its passage. Mara exhaled, tension leaving her shoulders. They had survived the encounter, not by firepower, but by courage and patience. Dr. Ortiz, monitoring from Earth, leaned back in her chair. "It's learning about us," she murmured. "And maybe, just maybe, it's impressed." Mara looked at her team, at the city below, at the wide, quiet sky. She knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had faced the unknown and had responded, not with panic or weapons, but with a look that carried meaning. A look that spoke volumes without a single word. As the alien ships hovered silently in orbit, a global realization began to settle. This was not an invasion. Not yet. This was a test. And humanity, for the first time, understood that the answer to the test was not words. It was the presence, courage, and will of every human being. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with fiery colors that reflected off the alien ships. Mara watched as shadows stretched across the city, and she knew one thing for certain. The universe had noticed humanity. And humanity had finally answered. Mara Quinn had always known that first contact would test more than skill. It would test the essence of humanity itself. Standing in the observation chamber of the Aegis I, she watched the alien craft hover silently over the city. The air around her was tense, filled with anticipation that spread from the team to the whole planet. People around the world waited for a sign, a word, a gesture, but the aliens had offered none. "They're still watching," Commander Yates said quietly, his eyes fixed on the alien craft. His voice carried the weight of countless battles and crises. "But they're not moving, not speaking." "It's like they're measuring us," Mara nodded. "Not with words," she said. "With their gaze. That's how they communicate. We have to understand it before we do anything else." Below, the city seemed to pause. Civilians moved cautiously, glancing at the sky, whispering to each other. Social media was filled with live footage, opinions, and panic, but also hope. Across the globe, people noticed something strange. The longer the aliens observed, the more subtle shifts they made. A tilt of the head, a gentle shimmer in their metallic surface. Patterns that seemed almost like thought. Dr. Lena Ortiz, monitoring from Earth, leaned forward in her chair. "They're not aggressive," she said, voice low but firm. "They're assessing. Not weapons. They want to understand us." Mara's team prepared the approach. Smaller ships would descend to make direct contact, carefully avoiding any signs of aggression. As they neared the alien craft, a smaller alien vessel detached and descended slowly toward Mara. Inside the cockpit, Mara could feel the strange weight of expectation. The alien craft landed lightly, with no sound except the faint hum of displaced air. A ramp extended and a figure emerged. It was humanoid in shape, taller than any human, with a sleek, shimmering body that reflected the sky like water, its head tilted slightly, observing. There were no eyes as humans knew them, no mouth, no features. Yet Mara felt the gaze directly, as if it were looking into her mind, into her intentions. The world seemed to hold its breath. Mara stepped forward, standing at the edge of her ship. Her team followed cautiously. The alien did not speak. It did not make a gesture that humans could recognize, but it did something else. It held her gaze. A long, deliberate stare that carried weight and meaning beyond words. Mara felt a strange clarity, a sensation that every choice she had ever made in her life was visible to the alien. She understood then that this was communication, pure and simple. For hours there was silence. Radio transmissions were ignored. Words were useless. And yet, in that silence, Mara realized something incredible. The alien's stare was asking a question. Not about technology, not about weapons, but about courage, resilience, and will. It was asking, "Who are you? What does humanity stand for?" Mara's mind raced. Flashbacks filled her thoughts. Decades of human history, survival through famine, disease, wars, and disasters. Humanity had always faced impossible odds. And now, for the first time, they were being measured by an intelligence beyond their understanding. She raised her hand slowly, palm open, a universal gesture of peace. The alien's head tilted again. Its body shimmered slightly, almost imperceptibly. Mara realized that even the smallest motion mattered. Every detail, every instinctive choice was observed and interpreted. "We are not just words," Mara whispered to herself. "We are action. We are resolve. That is what they will see." Behind her, the rest of the team mirrored her movements, careful to stay calm, to show patience and control. The alien's gaze shifted from one team member to another. Patterns emerged. The aliens noticed cooperation, coordination, and presence. They were not looking for weapons, they were looking for character. In New York, crowds gathered at a safe distance, their phones raised. For the first time, people were silent, collectively holding their breath, witnessing something larger than themselves. It was a moment of global focus, humanity united without words, just presence. Dr. Ortiz spoke over the comms. "They're recognizing our adaptability," she said. "Our intelligence isn't just machines and technology. It's courage. It's resilience. They're measuring the human spirit." Mara felt the pressure. One wrong move, one moment of fear could signal weakness. But she refused to falter. Slowly, deliberately, she stepped forward a few more meters. The alien's body shimmered, shifting as if acknowledging her motion. Its presence was both intimidating and strangely comforting, an understanding forming without words. "Lieutenant Quinn," Commander Yates whispered. "It's responding." Mara's eyes remained locked with the alien. She realized something. The longer she maintained the gaze, the more subtle cues she noticed. The alien was mirroring some of her postures, almost like a dance of understanding. Humans and aliens standing still, communicating only through presence, motion, and intention. Suddenly, Mara noticed a small detail. The alien's surface rippled differently near what might be its head, a slow undulation that seemed almost like curiosity. She took a deep breath. She would take the risk. She extended her hand slowly outward, fingers spread. A gesture of openness, of willingness. The alien mirrored her in some way, its form expanding slightly, flowing like liquid metal. It was a signal, subtle but unmistakable, acknowledgement. They were seeing each other, truly seeing. In that moment, Mara understood the power of human presence. Words were limited. Machines, technology, and weapons meant little here. What mattered was courage, empathy, patience, and clarity. Humanity could face the unknown, not with fire or threats, but with the essence of their being. Across the city, people began to notice subtle movements in the alien craft. It was not static anymore. It shimmered, rippled, and shifted as if alive. News anchors struggled to explain it. Scientists analyzed it, but everyone felt the same truth. This was recognition. For hours, Mara and the alien maintained the silent exchange. Then, as if understanding had been achieved, the alien slowly turned and returned to its ship. The ramp closed and the craft rose gently, joining the others in orbit. The shimmering ripples faded, leaving only the vast, quiet sky. Mara exhaled, tension leaving her body. Around her, the team slowly relaxed, but there was no sense of victory, only awe and clarity. Humanity had passed the first test, not through words, but through presence, courage, and understanding. Commander Yates finally spoke. "They've seen us, and they've understood something important." Mara nodded, still staring at the sky. "We answered them," she said softly, without a single word. Below, the city slowly came back to life. People cheered cautiously, hugged each other, and stared up at the sky, realizing that humanity had been seen and recognized. Across the globe, similar scenes played out in Tokyo, Paris, Cape Town, and Rio de Janeiro. Humanity had faced the unknown and had responded not with fear but with courage. Dr. Ortiz recorded every detail. "This is history," she murmured. "They're not invaders. They're assessors, and humanity has made a statement. Not with words, not with weapons, but with presence, with who we are." Mara watched the alien fleet from the observation deck. Even at a distance, their presence was formidable, but there was a new energy now, a mutual recognition. Humanity had passed the first silent test, but she knew this was only the beginning. The alien gaze had spoken volumes, and the human response had been clear. Bravery, intelligence, and heart could meet even the most mysterious intelligence in the universe. As night fell, stars reflected off the alien ships above. Mara turned to her team. "We've learned something today," she said. "We don't always need to speak to be heard. Sometimes what we are is louder than what we say." The crew nodded. Each member understood the lesson in their own way. Humanity's answer was not in words, it was in the look, the stance, the courage that faced the unknown without flinching. And somehow, across the vast distance, the aliens had understood. For the first time in human history, a species beyond Earth had seen humanity and had acknowledged it. The world held its breath in the days after the trial. Humanity had shown courage, ingenuity, and unity, and the alien fleet had witnessed it all, yet no words had been exchanged. No signals, no transmissions, only observation and acknowledgement. Mara Quinn knew that the next step would require even more patience, courage, and subtle understanding. Humanity had to communicate without speaking, to teach and to learn simultaneously. From the Aegis One, Mara and her team coordinated carefully with leaders and scientists on Earth. "They are not invaders," Dr. Lena Ortiz said firmly. "They're assessors. They are looking for something deeper than weapons, beyond technology. They are measuring human spirit." Mara nodded, staring at the shimmering alien fleet above. Their ships hovered in silent patterns, moving as if alive. The ripples along their surfaces suggested thought, reflection, even curiosity. Humanity had passed the first trial, but now the real test began. Connection. The first tentative step came when Mara's team attempted synchronized gestures. Using drones, robotic arms, and simple human movement, they created patterns meant to communicate cooperation, empathy, and curiosity. Every gesture was deliberate, designed not for beauty alone, but to show intelligence, patience, and unity. The aliens observed closely. Subtle changes in their shimmer mirrored the human movements. The humans realized that, for the first time, the aliens were not only watching, they were responding. The observation was interactive, like a silent conversation. Mara's heart raced. Humanity had discovered a language that required no words: presence, action, and intention. Across cities, ordinary humans played their part. In Tokyo, children released glowing drones into the sky, forming patterns that symbolized curiosity and wonder. In Cape Town, volunteers coordinated rescue simulations demonstrating teamwork and compassion. Even acts of kindness, helping strangers, sharing resources, were captured and transmitted to the alien fleet. Every human gesture became part of a larger message. Humanity was resilient, intelligent, and caring. Mara felt a subtle thrill. She realized that the aliens were responding not to technology alone, but to behavior, courage under pressure, kindness, collaboration. These were as important as any weapon or spacecraft. Humanity's strength was more than material. It was character. Then came the moment that would define the connection. A child wandered near one of the smaller alien crafts, unaware of the danger. Parents gasped in terror, but Mara's team moved quickly to ensure safety. The child, small and brave, looked up at the alien with wonder instead of fear. The alien's gaze shifted. Its shimmer rippled, brighter and more fluid than before. It observed the child's courage and innocence, then looked at Mara. The acknowledgement was clear. Humanity's essence, the combination of courage, curiosity, and care, was visible even in the smallest among them. Mara exhaled. "They understand more than we thought," she said softly. "They see us in everything we do. Every action matters." Over the next several days, the humans and aliens continued this silent exchange. Simple gestures evolved into more complex displays. Humans performed coordinated drone flights, robotic movements, and physical problem-solving demonstrations, while the aliens mirrored and adapted to these actions. It was a dance of intelligence and awareness, a conversation without words. The global response was remarkable. Civilians began to see themselves as part of a collective effort, realizing that their individual actions could communicate to beings far beyond their world. The human race, united in subtle gestures of courage and ingenuity, became a single living message to the universe. In the observation chamber, Mara reflected on what she saw. The aliens were not merely machines or living beings. They were interpreters of intention. Each ripple, shimmer, and shift was recognition of human qualities. Patience, bravery, problem-solving, and empathy were being recorded, understood, and valued. Lieutenant Quinn, Commander Yates said, his voice tight with emotion, "We're building a bridge, not through words, not through weapons, but through understanding. They see us as more than humans, they see our essence." Mara nodded. "And we see them as more than alien machines. They are intelligent, aware, capable of learning. The connection is mutual, even without speech." Then a subtle change occurred. The alien fleet formed a slow, sweeping pattern in the sky, a movement that mirrored human gestures of greeting and respect. Mara understood. The aliens were initiating communication on their own terms. Humanity had not only passed the trial, they were now participants in a shared understanding. The realization spread across the world. News broadcasts showed humans and aliens interacting in this silent way. Scientists described it as a new form of language, one based on observation, intention, and response. Philosophers pondered its significance, and children everywhere looked to the sky, imagining a universe where understanding could transcend words. One day, Mara and her team performed a final, coordinated demonstration. Humans on the ground, in the air, and in orbit worked together in perfect harmony, showing bravery, intelligence, and cooperation. Each movement was deliberate, each action meaningful. The aliens responded, shimmering and flowing in acknowledgement, their forms mirroring some of the human movements. Mara felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had done more than survive contact. They had shown character, resilience, and adaptability. The aliens were not enemies. They were partners in a silent dialogue, learning about humanity in a way no words could convey. A symbolic gesture cemented the bond. Mara took a small child from the observation deck and let them release a glowing orb toward one of the alien crafts. The child's innocence and courage shone through. The alien observed, shimmered, and extended a subtle movement of its own, a sign of recognition. It was a silent promise. Humanity had been understood. The world watched. Children, parents, workers, and leaders all felt a connection to the silent conversation above. Humanity's strength, courage, and compassion had reached across the stars, and the aliens had acknowledged it. For the first time, Earth realized that they were not alone, but also that being human mattered more than ever. Mara turned to her team. "Remember this," she said. "It's not just what we say or build. It's what we do, how we act, and who we are. That is the message they understand. That is the answer they see." Commander Yates nodded. "And it's not just for them. It's for us too. Humanity can rise to challenges without fear, knowing that our actions carry meaning beyond ourselves." The alien fleet, for the first time, began to move in a more fluid pattern, not hovering silently, but slowly drifting as if exploring the world below. Mara understood the significance. They were no longer passive observers. They were engaged. The silent understanding between species had grown, reaching a point of mutual recognition. In the quiet moments that followed, Mara walked to the observation window. The city below pulsed with life, and the stars above reflected the alien fleet in orbit. Humanity had faced the unknown and had responded with courage, ingenuity, and presence. And for the first time, she felt certain that the universe had seen them and had acknowledged their worth. The journey was far from over. There would be more tests, more challenges, and more mysteries to face. But for now, humanity had proven something essential. Their spirit, bravery, and cooperation could communicate across unimaginable distances. Words were not always necessary. Presence, action, and intention could speak louder than any language. As the alien fleet shimmered and drifted above Earth, Mara felt a quiet hope. Humanity and the aliens had begun to understand each other, silently and profoundly. The trial of courage and resolve had passed. Now, a new chapter awaited. One where mutual respect and understanding could grow between two intelligent species, without a single word exchanged. Mara looked down at the child on the observation deck, their eyes wide with wonder. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. "The universe has noticed us, and we have answered, with who we are." The child smiled, unaware of the full significance but radiating the courage and curiosity that had defined humanity in the eyes of the observers. And somewhere in the alien fleet, the same understanding shimmered in response. For the first time in history, humanity felt seen, not just as a species, but as a spirit capable of courage, empathy, and wisdom. And the aliens, in turn, had begun to learn the meaning of being human, not through words, but through the actions and hearts of those who had dared to meet the unknown with open eyes. The sun rose over a quiet earth, yet the sky held an unusual brilliance. The alien fleet remained above, no longer hovering in silent observation but moving with subtle patterns, as if anticipating humanity's next action. Lieutenant Mara Quinn stood on the observation deck of the Aegis I, watching the shimmer of alien ships reflect in the morning light. The world had already begun to recover from fear, replaced by hope. But Mara knew this was the moment that would define the species. "Today we show them everything," she said to her team. "Everything we are, everything we can do. They have seen our courage, our ingenuity, our unity, but now it is time to show our heart." Plans had been finalized across the globe. Humans would perform the ultimate coordinated demonstration, a statement not just of skill, but of resilience, courage, and compassion. Drones, spacecraft, robotic teams, and human volunteers would act together as a single, visible message to the aliens. Humanity could face any challenge and still stand with honor and unity. In New York, thousands of volunteers prepared for the demonstration. Children held glowing spheres that represented curiosity, hope, and bravery. Engineers adjusted drones in intricate patterns, while soldiers and civilians coordinated acts of cooperation. Across continents, similar events unfolded, people working in perfect harmony, performing synchronized movements that symbolized humanity itself. Mara piloted her small craft to the center of the display, feeling the collective heartbeat of the world below. Every movement, every action carried meaning. This was more than technology. It was humanity's soul, expressed through presence, courage, and coordination. The aliens watched closely, their forms shimmering, rippling, responding to human actions. Mara noticed subtle changes in their shapes, patterns that seemed almost like understanding, acknowledgement, and appreciation. The creatures had seen humanity's courage, adaptability, and creativity, but this display was deeper. It was human spirit in motion, a living statement of who they were. Suddenly, a complication arose. One of the larger drones veered off course, spinning dangerously close to Mara's craft. Without hesitation, she adjusted her trajectory, guiding it safely past the edge of the formation. Every motion was precise, every choice deliberate. It was not just skill. It was courage under pressure, adaptability, and a refusal to fail. The alien nearest to her responded immediately. Its surface rippled in a vibrant fluid pattern almost like a smile, a mirror of human acknowledgement. Mara understood then that they were not passive observers anymore. They were participants, engaging with humanity's message in real time. From Tokyo to Cape Town, from Paris to Rio, similar interactions unfolded. Humans solved problems, performed delicate maneuvers, and worked together under intense pressure, all while maintaining grace and composure. Each action was observed and mirrored subtly by the alien fleet. Dr. Lena Ortiz, watching the live feeds, spoke over the comms. They're responding not just to motion or skill. They are seeing human character, bravery, compassion, unity. They are understanding us. Mara felt a deep surge of pride. Humanity had done more than survive alien observation. They had communicated their very essence. Every act of courage, every moment of teamwork, every gesture of empathy had been noted. Humans were being seen not just as a species, but as a spirit capable of facing the unknown with resolve. Then came the defining moment. Mara lifted a small child from the observation deck and guided them to the center of the display. The child held a glowing sphere, representing hope, curiosity, and courage. Mara whispered, "Show them who we are." The child stepped forward, their tiny frame standing boldly beneath the immense alien ships. The aliens observed intently. Mara watched as one of the smaller alien crafts moved closer, tilting slightly, its surface rippling with a bright, flowing shimmer. The child looked up fearlessly, radiating innocence, courage, and curiosity. The alien's ripple changed again, more fluid, more deliberate. Mara realized it was recognition. The alien had understood something profound about humanity. Not skill, not technology, not weapons, but spirit. Humanity's essence had reached across the stars, and the alien had acknowledged it. Mara's team continued the coordinated display, weaving drones, human movement, and robotic systems into a seamless living statement. The world watched, captivated by the silent conversation happening above. People understood that every act, no matter how small, contributed to a message larger than themselves. Humanity, united in presence, courage, and ingenuity, had spoken without words. Hours passed. The alien fleet for the first time began to move with purpose, leaving silent trails in orbit, patterns that mirrored some of the human movements below. Mara felt a calm exhilaration. Humanity had not just impressed the aliens. They had communicated, connected, and been understood. Commander Yates spoke quietly over the comms. "They're acknowledging us, Lieutenant. This is remarkable. They are not just watching. They are learning, interacting, and respecting us." Mara nodded. "And that respect is earned through who we are, not what we have. They understand that humanity is more than machines or weapons. We are spirit, courage, and unity." The world below had changed as well. Civilians looked at the sky with awe. Children imagined a universe of possibilities, and adults realized the importance of collective effort and bravery. Humanity's identity had been strengthened, not just in the eyes of the aliens, but in their own hearts. As the demonstration concluded, Mara and her team performed one final gesture. They aligned drones and crafts to form a single symbol visible from orbit, a glowing representation of unity, hope, and courage. The aliens mirrored the movement, their shimmer flowing in harmony with the human display. It was not exact, but it was unmistakable acknowledgement, mutual understanding, respect. Then, as silently as they had arrived, the alien fleet began to ascend. Slowly, they moved away from Earth's atmosphere, retreating to the edges of orbit. Their shimmering patterns lingered, a final message left without words. Humanity had been seen, understood, and respected. Mara exhaled, her shoulders relaxing. "It's done," she said softly. "We've shown them everything we are, and they've seen it." Commander Yates placed a hand on her shoulder. "We've earned their acknowledgement. Humanity has made its statement." Dr. Ortiz smiled, tears glinting in her eyes. "Not with weapons, not with speeches. With who we are. That's what matters." Mara looked at the sky, the shimmering remnants of the alien fleet still visible in the distance. She felt a quiet pride, knowing that humanity had responded with courage, ingenuity, and heart. Words had been unnecessary. Actions had spoken louder than any language. Across the globe, people celebrated quietly, understanding that something extraordinary had occurred. Humanity had faced the unknown and had answered, not with fear, not with aggression, but with presence, courage, and unity. As night fell, the stars reflected in the calm seas and bright city lights. Mara stood on the observation deck watching Earth from above and whispered, "We've answered. With who we are." And now the universe knows the world had changed. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing strong, facing the unimaginable, and communicating across the cosmos without a single word. And somewhere above, the alien fleet shimmered once more in acknowledgement, leaving behind the promise of a new beginning, an interstellar respect founded not on force, but on understanding and courage. Mara turned to her team, smiling. "Remember this feeling. Remember what we've done. We don't always need words to be heard. Sometimes our courage, our unity, and our spirit are enough." The team nodded, a quiet sense of accomplishment filling the room. They had seen the impossible, faced the unknown, and emerged recognized. Humanity had made its statement. It had been seen. It had been understood. And for the first time, the stars above felt just a little closer, filled not with fear, but with possibility. The world had not yet fully recovered from the first encounter. Across continents, humans discussed the alien fleet hovering above. Scientists, leaders, and ordinary citizens alike debated what it meant. Was this a test, a threat, or simply a watchful presence? Lieutenant Mara Quinn knew one thing for certain. The aliens were not interested in destruction, at least not yet. They were measuring, observing, learning, and humanity needed to respond not with weapons but with what it did best: ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. Inside the Aegis 1, Mara and her team worked tirelessly. Small observation drones had been deployed near the alien ships, transmitting every movement back to Earth. Mara noticed subtle patterns. The aliens observed more intensely when humans acted collectively and calmly. Disarray or fear seemed to confuse them. "They're studying more than us," Dr. Lena Ortiz said, pointing to the drone feed. "They're studying how we respond. Our cooperation, our decisions under pressure, they're evaluating our species, not just our technology." Mara's mind raced. If the aliens were measuring humanity's spirit, then the next step had to demonstrate something unmistakable. A single pilot or a lone scientist would not suffice. Humanity needed to act together, showing courage, coordination, and intelligence. The team began designing a demonstration, a coordinated display of human ingenuity. Drones, spacecraft, and robotic systems would move in patterns impossible to ignore. Each motion would be deliberate, precise, yet expressive, like a dance of purpose and intellect. "This has to be more than technical skill," Mara said. "It has to be human. They must see our creativity, our courage, and our willingness to take risks for each other." The plan took shape. Drones would fly intricate patterns above major cities, while spacecraft performed synchronized maneuvers in orbit. Ground teams would demonstrate problem-solving and teamwork under live observation. Every human action would be part of a single, coordinated statement: humanity was strong, resilient, and capable. When the day came, the sky above New York was filled with hundreds of drones, moving in precise formations. Lights shimmered across their surfaces, painting symbols of coordination and unity. The aliens hovered silently, their ships observing every movement. Mara piloted a small craft into the center of the formation, performing a sequence that required absolute focus and timing. The alien ship nearest to her shifted slightly, ripples of light traveling along its metallic body. Mara could feel it acknowledging each maneuver. It was as if the aliens were learning the rhythm of human coordination, understanding intention and purpose without a single word. Across the globe, similar displays unfolded. In Tokyo, robotic teams solved complex physical challenges in public squares. In Paris, coordinated drone patterns demonstrated human ingenuity and precision. People watched from safe distances, unaware of the subtle communication happening above them. Every human gesture mattered. Every choice of movement was a message. Back on the Aegis 1, Mara and her team executed their final maneuver, a daring sequence of flips, spins, and formations designed to showcase both skill and bravery. Every motion was precise yet carried the unmistakable mark of human creativity. Unexpected improvisations, risk-taking, and adaptive thinking. The alien closest to Mara responded. Its surface shimmered brighter than before, flowing in patterns that mirrored some of the human movements. The other alien ships pulsed slightly as if resonating with the display. Mara felt a rush of understanding. The aliens were not just observing, they were interpreting. Every act of courage, every calculated risk was being read as a statement of humanity itself. Suddenly, a minor malfunction occurred in one of the drones. It spun out of control and threatened to collide with Mara's craft. Her heart jumped, but instinct took over. She adjusted her flight, nudging the drone safely aside, saving both the display and the small craft. The aliens observed the act. Their shimmer shifted again, subtly, almost like approval. Mara realized that they had recognized not only human skill, but human courage and adaptability. Humanity could face danger, respond to unexpected challenges, and protect one another, all qualities that distinguished them in the eyes of this intelligence. Commander Yates spoke over the comms, voice tight with excitement. "Lieutenant Quinn, they're reacting. This is more than observation. They're acknowledging our resilience." Mara nodded, keeping focus. "Then let's show them everything we can do." In the following hours, teams across the globe continued the demonstration. Engineers worked with minimal resources to solve intricate problems. Soldiers performed coordinated rescue simulations, and volunteers performed acts of bravery for their communities, all captured and broadcast to the alien observers. The alien ships shimmered and shifted in subtle ways, acknowledging each instance of human adaptability and courage. But the demonstration was not just about impressing the aliens. It was about proving something to themselves. Humanity had faced countless crises before, natural disasters, wars, pandemics, and had survived through cooperation, ingenuity, and sheer determination. Now, under the gaze of an intelligence far beyond their own, humans were reminded of their own strength. During a brief pause in the demonstration, Mara took a moment to reflect. She looked out over New York, at the thousands of people watching the sky with hope and fear intertwined. The aliens hovered silently above, studying, learning, waiting. Mara understood that this was not just a test of skill, but of spirit, and humanity, for the first time in a long while, was showing the universe who they really were. A sudden movement caught Mara's eye. One of the smaller alien crafts detached from its mothership and descended toward her. The humanoid figure emerged once again, standing motionless yet unmistakably observing. Mara held her gaze, remembering the first encounter. Words would do nothing. Only presence, courage, and intention mattered. The alien's form shimmered, flowing like liquid metal, and Mara felt a strange understanding pass between them. It was an acknowledgement not in words but in something deeper, recognition of human will, determination, and spirit. Mara raised her hand slowly, a simple gesture of openness. The alien responded in kind, its surface undulating in subtle patterns. Commander Yates muttered, "They're mirroring us. Trying to understand?" "Not just understand," Mara said softly. "They're learning. We're teaching them who we are." As the demonstration continued, it became clear that this was more than just a display. Humans and aliens were communicating, not through speech, but through action and presence. Humanity's ingenuity, bravery, and coordination spoke louder than any words ever could. Hours passed. The sun began to set, casting golden light across the city. The alien ships, once silent and imposing, shimmered with subtle acknowledgement. Humanity had made its statement. Every motion, every act of courage, every calculated risk had been observed and understood. The aliens had seen what it meant to be human. Mara exhaled, relief washing over her. The trial was not over, she knew, but humanity had passed the first true test of resolve. The aliens had witnessed bravery, ingenuity, and cooperation, qualities that defined humans more than technology or firepower ever could. Commander Yates placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've done it, Lieutenant. We've done it. They've seen us." Mara nodded, eyes fixed on the sky. "We've shown them what humans are capable of, not just surviving, but adapting, cooperating, and rising to challenges no one else could face. That is our answer." Dr. Ortiz, watching the patterns of alien shimmer, smiled. "They understand us now. Not perfectly, but enough to see who we truly are." The alien ships began to rise, returning toward orbit above Earth. For a moment, silence filled the sky. Then slowly the shimmering began to fade, leaving only the calm, quiet presence of the fleet. Humanity had passed the trial, not through aggression or words, but through courage, cooperation, and the spirit of resilience that had defined them for centuries. Mara watched as the ships receded, feeling a mixture of awe and determination. This was only the beginning. The universe had taken notice, and humanity had answered with clarity. They were strong, adaptable, and united. And the alien gaze, once intimidating, now held a spark of acknowledgement, a quiet respect for the species that had dared to stand firm in the face of the unknown. Below, the city slowly returned to their normal rhythm. But something had changed. People spoke in hushed tones about what they had witnessed. Children gazed at the sky with wonder. Adults whispered of courage and hope. Humanity had not only faced the unknown, they had shown it exactly who they were. Mara turned to her team. "Remember this," she said. "We don't always need words to communicate. Sometimes what we do, our courage, our unity, our resilience, is the loudest message of all." That is what they have seen today. Her team nodded, understanding the weight of their actions. Humanity had not merely survived the encounter. They had stood tall, showing that even in the presence of incomprehensible intelligence, the human spirit could shine brighter than fear. And somewhere above, the alien fleet shimmered in silent acknowledgement. Leaving a message without words, humanity had been seen, and it had been understood.